chosen one. The scroll has been broken. Heaven did not forget you. Your name was not lost in the chaos. Your assignment was not erased in the storms you survived. This is the moment where eternity interrupts time. Listen closely, your books are open. And what was once sealed in the heavens is now being whispered on earth. Your divine calling is not just a vague feeling, it is a documented, preordained, heaven-stamped assignment. And now, it is being activated. This is not hype. This is holy. You have felt it, haven't you? That strange, persistent inner tug, that sacred restlessness, that sense that no matter how hard you tried to blend in, nothing ever truly fit. That wasn't rejection, that was redirection. You were never meant to fit into the molds this world offers. You are not a wanderer, you are a warrior. You are not adrift, you are appointed. Beloved, chosen one. Hear me. The scrolls have been unsealed. The angelic realm has begun to speak your name. Assignments that were once delayed by disobedience, distraction, and demonic resistance are now being re-released. Why? Because the time has come. The Father has pressed activate. The books are open. Do not miss this moment. This is not just another day. This is not just another message. This is a divine interruption, a spiritual intervention. Stop scrolling. God is speaking. Every tear you shed in silence was collected. Every betrayal you endured in quiet was recorded. Every time you held your tongue instead of retaliating, heaven noticed. And now, justice is rising. Notre venque righteous recompense. Your name is being recalled in the courts of heaven. Your mission is being read aloud before the cloud of witnesses. God is calling you to remember what He wrote. This is not new information. This is ancient revelation finally being unlocked in your spirit. You may have forgotten, but heaven did not. You may have let go, but the angels did not. You may have gotten tired, discouraged, or distracted, but now, heaven is stirring you again. Why? Because the books are open. Chosen one. Don't be afraid of the activation. It will not be easy, but it will be holy. The scroll is not a sweet bedtime story. It is a commission, a call to arms, a divine mandate. It will stretch you. It will press you. It will crush comfort, but it will awaken glory. Stop wondering if you're worthy. The fact that you're still standing after all you've been through is your confirmation. You were preserved on purpose, kept for this very hour. The enemy tried everything: depression, addiction, isolation, self-doubt. But you survived. And because you survived, you qualify. Subscribe now if this resonates in your spirit. Like and share this message. Someone else's scroll might be tied to yours. Someone else's assignment may be connected to your obedience. Heaven is not casual about your life. There is no plan B. You are plan A. You are not an extra. You are the main character in a divine story that started before time began. Isaiah 49:16 says, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. This is not poetry. This is promise. Your name has been carved into eternal memory. Heaven knows who you are. So, rise up. Step out of smallness. Refuse to shrink back. The scroll has been broken, and that means hiding is no longer an option. Your season of obscurity had a purpose, but now, visibility is your responsibility. Light cannot hide. Truth cannot whisper. Purpose cannot delay. You are being called forth. Chosen one. Come out of hiding. Comment 777. If your spirit bears witness, this is your moment of activation. The books are open. Your name is glowing. Your mission is unfolding. Heaven's eyes are on you. Hell's alarm has been triggered. Earth is waiting for your yes. Say it aloud now. In faith. Yes. Lord, I accept the assignment. You were always set apart. Even before you had language for it. You knew. You never quite fit in. You sensed things others ignored. You wept over what they laughed at. You carried burdens in your chest that had no name. It wasn't your imagination. It was your calling, whispering, even in childhood. The loneliness you felt wasn't rejection, it was protection. The separation wasn't punishment, it was preparation. From the very beginning, God marked you. While others were celebrated for conformity, you were carved for consecration. While others chased trends, something deep inside you resisted blending in. The ache in your soul wasn't a flaw. It was a sign. It was God's fingerprint, pressing into the clay of your being, shaping you for something that couldn't be explained, only revealed. You didn't fit because you weren't fashioned for the crowd. You were crafted for the cross, a vessel unlike any other, molded for divine purpose, carved for sacred assignments that required solitude, silence, and sacred discomfort. Do you remember the moments you tried to silence the voice inside? The times you begged God to just let you be normal, but normal didn't want you. And deep down, you didn't want normal either. Your spirit knew. It always knew. You were born for more. Chosen one. You carry an ancient weight, a holy heaviness. The kind that can't be taught, only transferred. Your tears have been prophetic. Your questions have been sacred. Even your confusion has been a sign that the earth's answers will never satisfy the blueprint within you. You've been misunderstood for years. Called too much, too deep, too intense. But let me tell you the truth. You are exactly as God designed. You were not made to coast through life. You were not built to simply exist. You were crafted to collide with darkness, to overturn altars of idolatry, to interrupt cycles of destruction in your bloodline. Yes, it hurt when they walked away. Yes, it stung when they mocked your fire. But what they called weird, heaven calls warfare. What they rejected was what God protected. And what they didn't see in you was never meant for them to understand. This assignment is not for applause. It's for obedience. And your difference. It's divine. Your silence in rooms where others boast, it speaks volumes in heaven. Your restraint when provoked is spiritual warfare. Your ability to love after betrayal, to remain faithful after delay, to stay humble with power, these are signs of royalty. You are not average. You are not common. You were hidden for holiness. You were set apart like Jeremiah, consecrated before your birth. You were chosen like Esther, positioned for such a time as this. You were favored like Joseph. But favored doesn't mean spared. His coat didn't protect him from the pit. And your anointing didn't exempt you from the crushing. But crushing is not the end, it's the beginning. Oil only flows from pressure. And your life has been pressurized by design. That ache, it's the weight of your calling. That inner fire, it's the evidence of divine DNA. You are not like the rest, and you were never meant to be. When others were partying, you were praying. When others were numbing, you were weeping. When others were chasing platforms, you were seeking the presence. That's not failure. That's fruit. Chosen one. God didn't pick you for your popularity. He picked you for your purity. You don't need everyone to understand you. You only need to obey the one who formed you. Their confusion is not your confirmation. Heaven's voice is your compass now. There will be moments when the cost of being chosen will break you. The silence will scream. The loneliness will wrap itself around your chest like a chain. But remember, this intimacy with God often requires distance from people. Obscurity is God's greenhouse. Isolation is his altar. And in the wilderness, he whispers the clearest. Let your heart exhale. You are not broken. You are being built. You are not late. You were held back for divine alignment. The world didn't overlook you. Heaven covered you. The delay was a cocoon. The obscurity was sacred. And now, the stirring you feel isn't restlessness. It's resurrection. Because being set apart wasn't just for the past, it's the reason for your future. There is a move of God rising in the earth, and he's not calling the loudest, the wealthiest, or the most followed. He's calling the set apart, the holy, the faithful, the overlooked, the willing. He's calling you. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is awakening your spirit to the assignment ahead. Don't despise your difference. Don't mourn the spaces you had to leave. Don't curse the doors that closed. All of it was divine orchestration to position you exactly here, where the books are open and your assignment is being activated. You were always set apart. Now you must walk like it. The hidden years were holy. You thought they were wasted. The silence, the stillness, the invisibility, it felt like punishment. Like God had forgotten your name. Like every prayer went unanswered. But the truth is far more sacred. Those years were not delay. They were design. They were not abandonment. They were alignment. You were not being shelved. You were being shaped. Every quiet night, heaven was working. Every unnoticed act of obedience was a seed planted in eternity. While others were running ahead, you were being rooted. While others built platforms, God built your foundation. And no one saw it. No one clapped. But the audience of one never looked away. You begged for the door to open. You pleaded for the opportunity to come. And when it didn't, you questioned if you were worthy. But worth was never the issue. Timing was. God does not rush greatness. Chosen one. You were not ready yet, and that's not shameful. That's sovereign. The gifts were there. The fire was real. But the character had to be carved. The wisdom had to deepen. The noise around you had to die down, so the whisper of God could become the only voice you followed. The wilderness is holy. The hiding is sacred. Even Jesus disappeared before he was revealed. The Son of God, the Word made flesh, spent 30 years in near-complete silence before he spoke a public word. Don't you dare resent your years of hiddenness. They are proof that you carry something worth protecting. You didn't lose time. You gained depth. You didn't miss your window. You learned to wait at the windows of heaven. The delays built discernment. The loneliness built intercession. The pain taught you power. While others saw inactivity, heaven saw intimacy. The hidden years were when you learned to pray in groanings, when you heard God in the stillness, when you worshipped with no stage, gave with no applause, loved with no guarantee. That's where your oil was born. That's where heaven certified you. The reason you couldn't move like others, couldn't post like others, couldn't pursue like others, is because you weren't like others. Your life is not a spectacle. It is a sanctuary. Every yes you whispered in secret is being shouted in the spirit realm now. Every unseen act is echoing through eternity. Do not despise the cave. It's where kings are made. David was anointed and then driven into the wilderness, not because God changed his mind, but because he was preparing David's heart for the weight of the crown. Saul wore a crown without character. David carried character before the crown. And so do you. You weren't being punished. You were being preserved. God blocked connections to protect your purity. He shut doors to keep you hidden from premature exposure. He allowed betrayal to prune your loyalty. And he gave you nothing external so that you would be forced to drink only from the internal well of intimacy with him. You are not behind. You are being launched. The silence was not a signal to quit. It was a command to listen deeper. The rejection wasn't a curse. It was a course correction. You were never being ignored. You were being refined. And now, you feel it, don't you? The stirring, the holy trembling in your bones, the movement in your spirit that says something is shifting. That's because it is. The years of hidden obedience are bearing visible fruit. The quiet seed is breaking ground. Chosen one. Your assignment is not starting today. It was initiated long ago, in the shadows. What is beginning now is the unveiling, the release, the moment when what was hidden becomes revealed, and what was cultivated in obscurity becomes oil for nations. Let the tears fall. Let your soul remember. Every midnight cry, every unanswered fast, every door that didn't open, it all mattered. It all counted. God wastes nothing. You've been faithful with little. Now get ready. Increase is not always loud. Sometimes it's simply the volume of responsibility heaven places on your shoulders. You won't just speak louder, you'll speak deeper. You won't just be seen, you'll be known by the spirit you carry. Remember who you are. You are not a late bloomer. You are a divine strategy. Your timeline is not man-made. Your path was carved by the hand of the Almighty. And now, the wind of release is at your back. Don't fear the light. You were hidden to be healed, and healed to be revealed. You are not stepping into arrogance. You are stepping into alignment. This isn't about glory, it's about obedience. It's not about being seen, it's about being sent. What was formed in secret will now speak in power. Comment, it was holy. The hidden years were not lost. They were holy. And they are the reason you're ready now. You've outgrown Egypt. It doesn't fit anymore. The old habits, the old patterns, the old mindsets, they feel tight around your spirit, like clothes you've outgrown, but kept wearing out of comfort. But now, the friction is undeniable. The places that once felt familiar now feel foreign. The circles you used to sit in no longer understand you. The rooms you used to command feel spiritually claustrophobic. That's not confusion. That's confirmation. You've outgrown Egypt. You weren't meant to stay there. Egypt was a training ground, not a destination. It was allowed, but never intended. It was where God kept you to mature you, but not where he meant to keep you rooted. And now, the time of exiting has come, not because Egypt changed, but because you did. God used it. The bondage, the pressure, the limitations. They trained your spirit. You learned survival there. You learned how to pray when no one answered. You learned how to praise when nothing changed. Egypt built something in you. But now, Egypt is beneath your calling. You were made for the wilderness, not to wander, but to witness. You were made for the promise, not the prison. And that's why the tension is unbearable now. The people around you haven't changed, but you're no longer satisfied with shallow waters. The conversations feel empty. The routines feel pointless. The cycle is suffocating. You're not bored, you're being beckoned. Your spirit is restless because your season has shifted. What once satisfied now irritates. What once nurtured now nags. This is what spiritual growth feels like. It doesn't always look like promotion. It often looks like shedding. Shedding the layers of identity that Egypt forced on you. Shedding the false names. The lies you believed about your worth. The fear-based obedience. The trauma-led loyalty. Egypt raised you in bondage, but it will not raise you into promise. You are not who you were back there. Back then, you needed approval. Now, you crave alignment. Back then, you kept peace by staying silent. Now, silence costs too much. You've walked through enough storms to know what's real. You've battled through enough nights to know what matters. And you can't go back. Even if you tried, Egypt wouldn't take you. The door is shut. The appetite is gone. The craving has dried up. The grace to survive there has lifted, and the presence of God is no longer lingering in the land of compromise. So now you're in the in-between, out of Egypt, but not yet in Canaan. And this is where many turn back. The discomfort of the middle tempts the soul to retreat into what's familiar, even if it's fatal. But not you. You've tasted too much, seen too much, endured too much. You're not going back. You've outgrown it. You've outgrown small talk when your spirit wants strategy. You've outgrown complaining when your mouth is made for prophecy. You've outgrown passive obedience when your call requires bold declarations. You've outgrown the addiction to being liked. You've outgrown the fear of being alone. You've outgrown waiting for permission to walk in power. Egypt can't hold you anymore. There's a fire in your bones now. A divine dissatisfaction that refuses to be quiet. The enemy wants you to mistake it for anxiety. He wants you to suppress it, to question it, to silence it. But it is holy agitation. It is sacred friction. It is the spiritual stretching that confirms your tent is too small. Your current assignment is expanding, and heaven is calling you forward. You were not saved to sit. You were not delivered to decorate the wilderness. You were pulled from the fire for purpose, and the old wineskin cannot carry the new wine. The old cycles can't sustain the new weight. The old crowd can't understand the new covenant over your life. Do not mourn what you're leaving. Mourn if you stay. Some things are falling apart because they were never meant to follow you forward. Some relationships are silent because they served their season. Some doors are slamming because God is forcing focus. And some delays are divine so you don't carry yesterday into tomorrow. Let it go. Let Egypt crumble. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to beg to be understood. You are not arrogant. You are awakened. And that difference matters. You're not angry. You're activated. And even if it feels lonely, know this. Deliverance often begins in isolation. Before the Red Sea parts, there must be a departure. Before the promise flows, there must be a leaving. You are stepping out, not because you're better than them, but because you're called beyond them. The weight on your life demands space. The oil on your head requires separation. And the call in your soul refuses to be chained to what you've already outgrown. You've outgrown Egypt. Don't look back. Don't reach back. Don't pray for revival in a place God is destroying. The cloud is moving, and so must you. The alarm is sounding. Chosen one, Can you hear it? It's not the sound of fear, it's the sound of the spirit realm shifting. A divine frequency only the awakened can perceive. Heaven is moving. Angels are dispatched. Your name is being spoken in realms you've never entered. The alarm is not about danger, it's about destiny. This is your summons. You are being called. You may not feel ready. But readiness is not a requirement for activation. Obedience is. And when heaven sounds the alarm, it's not a suggestion. It's a signal. That feeling in your chest, the restlessness in your bones, the divine unease, it's not nerves. It's the Spirit of God stirring the waters around you. This moment is not casual. You're not here because you stumbled on this message. You're not listening because of curiosity. You're listening because heaven orchestrated this encounter. This is a wake-up call from the throne. You're being called into position. You're not being invited to observe. You're being summoned to engage. The kingdom needs your voice, your hands, your presence. The gifts inside you are not optional. They're weapons. The pain you overcame, the deliverance you received, the tears you've sown, they're not just stories. They're signals, indicators that you've been marked to lead, to speak, to break chains. Others don't even see yet. And time is moving. The enemy knows who you are. That's why the warfare has been intense. That's why the attacks increased when you tried to go deeper. That's why your name came up in the mouths of those who never knew your heart. Because hell senses what heaven is about to release through you. But the alarm doesn't only alert the enemy, it summons the angels. Reinforcements are gathering. Resources are shifting. Doors are beginning to respond to your movement. And the next step is not waiting on God, it's waiting on you. Do not hit snooze on the sound of your assignment. You've waited long enough. You've second-guessed long enough. You've asked for confirmation after confirmation. But the time for wondering is over. The time for wavering is past. The time for working the vision is now. There are people tied to your yes, deliverance that will not be triggered until you move. Breakthrough that's waiting on your obedience. Entire bloodlines that will bend toward healing the moment you say, "Yes, Lord, send me." Do you think the shaking around you is coincidence? It's divine disruption. Everything unstable is being exposed because you are not called to build on shifting sand. You are being anchored in revelation, rooted in righteousness, and appointed for realignment. This is why it's been uncomfortable. This is why you can't sleep some nights. The trumpet is in your spirit now. Chosen one. It's not about building your brand, it's about building the kingdom. It's not about your comfort, it's about your calling. There is a fire that must fall, and you are the altar. Let this message be a line in the sand, a holy moment where you stop running. Stop hesitating. Stop pretending you don't know what God is saying. You do, and you're being reminded again, not out of anger but mercy, because heaven wants you aligned, not applauded. So rise up, dust off the dreams, shake off the slumber, refuse to delay destiny another day. And as you respond, remember this, you're not alone. There is a rising remnant across the earth, set apart ones who feel what you feel, who know what it's like to wrestle in the dark and rise with a glow, not of this world. If this message confirms what's already in your spirit, stay connected. Like and share this word so others in your tribe can hear the same sound. Subscribe for more messages that speak directly into your anointing. And if the fire in your heart is stirring to sow into what heaven is doing through this message, do it with joy. Every seed sown into good soil multiplies. Let your giving be a declaration. I'm not just listening, I'm aligned. You're not buying a blessing. You're building altars for others to encounter God. Because the alarm is not just for you, it's for generations. It's for cities. It's for mantles yet to be passed. When you move, others wake up. When you obey, doors open that no man can shut. You are the evidence that heaven still speaks, that divine assignments don't expire, that what God calls gives, that what he begins, he finishes, and that when the alarm sounds, it is not to cause fear, but to announce that the chosen ones are taking their place. This is not rehearsal. This is the real thing. The books are open, the call is real, and the sound is ringing in the spirit. Respond, now, not just with words, but with movement. Chosen one, the alarm is sounding. The rest of your life is waiting on what you do next. Delay is disobedience now. There was a time when waiting was wisdom, a time when silence was safety, a time when stillness served your development. But that time has ended. The cloud is moving. The spirit is pressing. The grace for delay has lifted. What once was covered as hesitation is now called rebellion. What once was tolerated in your immaturity is now treason in your calling. You feel it, don't you? That pressing in your chest, that weight that won't let you settle, that invisible voice that keeps whispering, move now. It's not anxiety, it's urgency. It's not pressure, it's purpose. Heaven has initiated your assignment. Delay is no longer an option. Disobedience is now dressed in the clothes of procrastination. The call has gone out. Your name has been spoken in realms you've never seen. The scrolls are open. The records are active. And angels are watching. Every time you pause, hoping for more clarity, you risk forfeiting the oil reserved for the now. You're not waiting on confirmation anymore. You've already received it. In the dreams, in the whispers, in the moments when his presence sat so heavy you could barely breathe. The clarity was in the silence. The answer was in the agitation. You just didn't want it to be this fast, this uncomfortable, this risky. But obedience doesn't require comfort. God doesn't owe you explanation. He's given you instruction. And delayed obedience is disobedience in disguise. You know the path. You've seen the signs. You can't pretend ignorance anymore. You know too much now. Remember Jonah? He didn't doubt God's voice. He disliked God's direction. And in that disobedience, he nearly drowned his destiny. Not because he was wicked, but because he delayed. And yet, even then, God sent the storm to reroute him, not to destroy him, but to deliver him from his own rebellion. Don't wait for a storm to move. Move with the whisper. Move with the nudge. Move with the quiet fire in your spirit that says, now, because what you hesitate to do today could cost you tomorrow. And what you delay could be the key someone else needs to survive. This is no longer about preference, it's about purpose. The delay is not just about you anymore. Your silence is holding someone else's breakthrough. Your fear is blocking someone else's healing. Your hesitation is delaying someone else's freedom. When you move, others follow. Heaven doesn't measure time like man does. There are divine windows, kairos, moments where the timing aligns with the move of God. When the window opens, it is your responsibility to walk through it. If you wait for it to make sense to man, the window may close. Chosen one, you've run out of excuses. You know why the warfare has increased. You know why the distractions have multiplied. Because the enemy knows what you're carrying. He's terrified of what your obedience will unleash. He's afraid of your alignment. That's why he wants you busy, confused, caught in cycles, chasing clarity instead of acting in faith. But no more. No more circling the mountain. No more rehearsing what God already released. No more second-guessing a God who has never failed you. This is your moment of deliverance, not from demons, but from delay. You are called. You are equipped. You are anointed. And you are out of time for small thinking, low living, and passive obedience. This is your call to cross over, from thinking to doing, from hoping to walking, from knowing to becoming, from stuck to sent. Every second you hesitate, darkness gains ground. Every moment you pause, someone else's freedom waits on hold. You've heard enough. You've prayed enough. You've fasted enough. Now, you must move. You are not crazy. You are called. You are not late. You are on the brink. You are not being reckless. You're finally being obedient. And on the other side of obedience, power, authority, glory, oil. The delay has been broken. The spirit of hesitation must bow. The fear of failure must fall. You are stepping into acceleration, not because you ran fast, but because you finally said yes. Comment 999 if your spirit knows the delay is over. This is not just another message. This is a marking, a holy interruption, a divine realignment. God has waited long enough. The earth has groaned long enough. The time is now. And now means now. You carry kingdom blueprints, not just ideas, not just inspiration, but divine strategies coded into your spirit, designs etched into your soul by the hand of God before you ever drew breath. This isn't just imagination, it's impartation. You carry heaven's architecture for earthly transformation. There are systems in you, solutions in you, deliverance in you. You are not simply creative, you are consecrated. And the downloads you've received weren't just for you. They were for the generation crying out for change. You've always seen differently. While others saw problems, you saw patterns. While others copied models, you dreamed of movements. You saw the cracks, the gaps, the unmet needs, the spiritual famine in places masked by noise. That was not arrogance. That was vision. God trusted you with what others ignored. There are instructions written on the walls of your spirit. Ideas you've tried to silence because they seemed too big, too complex, too unfamiliar. But they keep returning. They won't leave. Because they weren't born in your mind, they were deposited in your soul. You carry the blueprints. You were born with a burden, a pull toward purpose, an ache you couldn't name. It has driven you, haunted you, kept you up at night. It wasn't just ambition, it was assignment. The ideas you shelved, the plans you abandoned out of fear, the dreams you whispered in the dark, they are all part of the scroll that heaven wrote with your name on it. And now, the time has come to build, not with brick and mortar, but with boldness and obedience. What you carry isn't for applause, it's for advancement. You weren't meant to mimic, you were meant to model. You weren't sent to compete, you were sent to construct what's never been built before. This is why you never fit in traditional boxes. Why the systems felt suffocating. Why what worked for others never seemed to work for you. It's because you weren't called to follow formulas. You were called to receive fresh instructions, and now the call is growing louder. The visions in your journal, the sketches on the napkins, the plans you outlined in private, they weren't daydreams. They were divine revelations. Heaven was showing you the blueprints early, trusting that you'd hold them until the right season. That season is here. You are pregnant with purpose, and it can no longer stay inside. The contractions of the Spirit are intensifying because the kingdom is demanding delivery. The earth is groaning for what you carry. Creation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons and daughters of God, and that includes you. But here is what you must understand. Blueprints don't build themselves. You must move. You must obey. You must act not with perfection, but with faith. What you build won't always be understood. It may not look like what came before, but if it was born in the secret place, heaven will breathe on it in the open. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not underqualified. The enemy has tried to convince you otherwise, tried to drown your confidence in comparison, tried to paralyze your progress with perfectionism, but none of that came from God. He called you, He equipped you, and He trusted you with the plans. Noah built an ark with no blueprint but obedience. Moses led a nation with nothing but a burning bush, encounter, and a stutter. Joseph administered a nation from a prison cell. Esther saved a people with one risky decision. And now it's your turn. You are not random. You are not accidental. You are strategic, intentional, sent. The ideas you carry are not your own. They are divine instructions. The assignments you keep pushing aside are not optional. They are mandates. And the more you resist, the heavier the burden becomes. God will not let you rest until you release what He planted. This is why doors didn't open. He didn't want you to mimic. This is why connections fell through. He didn't want you to compromise. This is why your spirit couldn't settle, because your blueprints were meant to launch you, not limit you. And now, the time for theory is over. This is the season of movement, of building, of bold faith and radical steps. Not reckless, but ruthless in obedience. You don't need every detail. You need direction, and you've already received it. The people assigned to help will appear when you begin. The provision you're praying for is tied to the process, and the resources will come when you respond. God funds what He authors. He provides for what He commissions. So write the vision again. Dust off the scroll. Unpack the instructions. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your original obedience. You carry kingdom blueprints, and heaven is waiting to see them built. The mantle comes with fire. Chosen one. The weight you feel is not strange. The pressure on your chest, the burning behind your ribs, the constant awareness that you are marked. It's the fire of the mantle. You are not simply gifted, you are mantled. You are not merely anointed, you are assigned. And the weight of that assignment comes with more than favor. It comes with fire. This fire does not destroy you, it consecrates you. It consumes the distractions, the compromises, the casualness. It burns away the fear. It burns away the pride. It refines what talent alone cannot purify. Because the mantle on your life is not ornamental, it's functional. You were not chosen to look powerful. You were chosen to be powerful. But power comes with pressure. Consider Elisha. When Elijah cast his mantle upon him, Elisha didn't just gain a prophetic gift, he inherited the fire of responsibility. He burned his plows and slaughtered his oxen. Everything that represented his past life gone. No return. No retreat. Because the mantle demands total surrender. 1 Kings 19:21 says, "So Elisha left him and went back. He took his yoke of oxen and slaughtered them. He burned the plowing equipment to cook the meat and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he set out to follow Elijah and became his servant." The fire you feel is heaven's confirmation that your mantle is real. You've noticed it, how you can't escape it. You walk into rooms and the atmosphere shifts. People confide in you without knowing why. Demons grow agitated in your presence, even when you're silent. That's not your charisma. That's your mantle speaking. And the fire it carries disturbs the spirit realm. This is why your life can't be casual. Why certain yokes, shows, or circles make you feel uncomfortable. It's not legalism, it's alignment. The fire won't let you settle into lukewarm spaces. You were designed to burn, not to blend. And when you try to fit in, you start to dim. But you can't stay dim, not with this mantle. It's not just spiritual weight, it's generational. You are carrying answers that your ancestors died without seeing. You are walking in rooms they only prayed about. And with that inheritance comes holy intensity. Chosen one. There are no light mantles. When God marks you, refines you. When he calls you, it crushes you. Not to destroy, but to prepare. Because those who carry fire must be forged in fire. Think of Moses. He didn't just hear the call. He stood before a bush that was on fire, but did not burn up. Exodus 3:2 says, "There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush." Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. That moment wasn't just a miracle, it was the mark of his calling and the nature of his mission. You, too, are standing in front of your bush. You feel it every day. That holy agitation, that divine pressure, the sense that you can no longer do things halfway, that you're being pulled into deeper waters, even when the shore looks safer. That's the fire of the mantle demanding obedience. And obedience is not optional anymore. This is why the fire is intensifying, because your time of wandering is over. Your time of warming the bench is done. You were made to carry the fire of deliverance, strategy, worship, healing, whatever the mantle demands. But you cannot carry it without first being changed by it. The fire doesn't just empower you, it purifies you. This is why you've been uncomfortable, why you can't watch what others watch, why compromise breaks your spirit, even in small doses. The mantle is not passive, it's alive. It burns within you, calling you back to purpose whenever you stray. This is not a burden, it's a gift, because it means you are chosen. And with that choosing comes cost. You will be misunderstood. You will be opposed. The closer you move to the center of your assignment, the more resistance you'll face. But don't fear the fire. It proves your authenticity. It reveals the difference between those who play with power and those who carry it. There is a reason the enemy fears you. He remembers the last one who carried a mantle like yours. He remembers the revival that followed, the breakthrough that exploded, the bloodlines that were healed, the altars that were rebuilt. And he knows what will happen when you accept the full weight of your call. So the fire won't go away, and it's not supposed to. Let it burn. Let it consume the fear of man. Let it purify your motives. Let it refine your schedule. Let it reorder your priorities. The mantle is not just on your shoulders, it's in your bones. It changes how you speak, how you pray, how you live. And though the fire is heavy, it will not harm you. Isaiah 43. 2 says, when you walk through fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. That promise is your assurance. The fire you're in is not sent to destroy you. It's proof you've been chosen to walk through what others cannot survive. You've been tempered in silence, in secret, and in suffering. And now, the fire within you is starting to show through you. No more resisting it. No more trying to live beneath it. No more asking God to choose someone else. This mantle is yours, and it comes with fire. You disrupt darkness by existing. Chosen one. The very fact that you're still breathing is a threat to hell. Your existence is not neutral, it is nuclear. Every morning you rise. The kingdom of darkness loses ground. Every step you take in obedience sends shockwaves through unseen realms. You are not just chosen, you are dangerous. The enemy has studied you. He knows the bloodline you come from. He's tracked your history, traced your weaknesses, and tried everything to break you. But you keep rising, you keep shining, you keep moving. That's not survival, that's dominion. You don't need a microphone to shift atmospheres. You don't need a stage to stir heaven. You simply need to walk in who God created you to be. Because the weight you carry is not human, it's holy. Your words break chains. Your prayers uproot principalities. Your worship summons angelic intervention, and it terrifies the enemy. This is why the warfare against you has been relentless. Why your mind has been attacked. Why you've battled isolation, confusion, and cycles of weariness. Because if the enemy can't destroy you, he'll try to distract you from realizing the power you carry. But it's too late. The veil has been torn. The blindness has been broken. You're waking up, and when a chosen one wakes up, hell goes silent. Darkness thrives in ignorance. But this in awareness, your light exposes what others have grown comfortable ignoring. You discern spirits. You sense shifts. You recognize when something unseen is at work. That's not paranoia, it's prophetic discernment. You've been entrusted with spiritual eyes. But the weight of awareness is not small. It can make you feel heavy. It can feel like a burden no one else sees. That's because you're not just a believer, you're a disruptor. You're not just called, you're deployed. God didn't just anoint you to survive storms, He anointed you to calm them, to walk into chaos and bring order, to step into dry places and release rivers. That's why the tension increases, the closer you get to your next level, because darkness senses it, and it's afraid. You're not fighting for power, you're fighting from power. Ephesians 2:6 says, you are seated in heavenly places with Christ Jesus. And Luke 10, the 19th of December, layers that you have authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy. That authority doesn't need a title. It just needs obedience. You don't have to force your presence to matter. You just have to show up in truth. When you walk into a room, something shifts. It's not ego, it's essence. It's the residue of intimacy with God, the oil of crushing, the glow of glory, the presence of purpose, and it causes disruption. Not because you want to be seen, but because you carry something that cannot be hidden. That's why you've always felt like you didn't belong, like you were too much, too intense, too sensitive. But what they call too much, God calls perfectly placed. You weren't made to blend. You were born to break patterns. Your laughter breaks spells. Your worship builds altars. Your yes to God is louder than 1,000 sermons. That's why the enemy tried to silence you, tried to confuse your identity, tried to wear you down with fatigue and fear. But here you are still standing. You don't even realize how many traps you've already walked past. How many battles you've won in silence. How many curses you've broken just by choosing holiness in secret. You disrupt darkness every day just by existing in alignment with God. You are not a victim. You are a weapon. And this weapon is not made of flesh and blood, it's made of fire and glory. Your journey has trained you. Your pain has certified you. Your tears have watered your authority. You've been tried in the fire, and now you carry heat. Don't apologize for your glow. Don't shrink for the comfort of others. Don't downplay the weight you carry. You've paid for it in nights of groaning, in mornings of warfare, in seasons of silence. You've earned your oil, and it's time to pour it out. You are walking proof that light wins, that healing happens, that freedom is possible, that glory can rest on human flesh. You are not small. You are significant. Comment, I'm still here. Because just by being here, just by choosing to stay in the fight, you've disrupted the agenda of darkness again. The wilderness was training ground. Chosen one. Don't resent the wilderness. Don't despise the isolation, the stillness, the silence. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The season where you felt forgotten was the season where God was forming you. He didn't abandon you, He was arming you. The wilderness was never meant to break you. It was meant to build what the palace couldn't. You prayed for promotion. God gave you process. You asked for power. He gave you pressure. You cried out for clarity. And instead, He gave you contradiction. But make no mistake, every dry place was a divine classroom. Every unanswered prayer was an invitation to go deeper. Every closed door was a direction toward your real assignment. In the wilderness, you learned to hear God without the noise of crowds. You learned to trust Him without the crutch of convenience. You learned to fight without applause, to worship without platform, to believe without evidence. That is not weakness. That is weight. The wilderness didn't disqualify you. It equipped you. Look at David. Before the throne, there was a field. Before Goliath, there were lions and bears. His anointing came before the spotlight, and his authority was forged in hidden obedience. He didn't need a crown to carry glory. He just needed to stay faithful in the forgotten place. You did the same. When no one was watching, you stayed. When no one believed, you prayed. When everything looked still, your spirit moved. That's why you're still here. That's why you're still standing. You were not surviving, you were being strengthened. Some of the most powerful oil is produced in the wilderness, where there is no audience to impress, where there are no accolades to chase, where the only voice you hear is the whisper of God calling you deeper, again and again. You know that whisper. It has followed you in the quiet, guided you when everything else was chaos, reminded you that you were not forgotten, you were being focused. You see, the wilderness reveals what the stage conceals. It exposes motives. It purifies intentions. It strips everything that cannot sustain the weight of your calling. It forces you to let go of what feels good so you can carry what is God. Many look at where you are now and assume it came easy. They don't know the desert you crawled through, the nights you questioned everything, the mornings you got up anyway. They see strength, but they didn't see the stretching. They see glow, but not the groaning. You carry more than they realize because you endured more than they'll ever know. Chosen one, do not rush past the wilderness in your story. It is not a footnote. It is the foundation. What was built in you there will outlast every storm that comes after. Your roots go deep. That's why the winds didn't break you. That's why the drought didn't kill your fruit. Because God planted you in Himself, not in public praise. The wilderness stripped you of false identity. It peeled back every layer you clung to and exposed what was real. And when everything else fell away, what remained was unshakable. That's what you're standing on now, not hype, but holiness, not reputation, but revelation. So, when you walk into new spaces, carry your wilderness with you, not as shame, but as strength. It's the reminder that you were qualified in silence, anointed in secret, approved in the fire. You don't owe anyone an explanation. The evidence is in your endurance. And now that you've come through, others need what you carry. There's a world full of people wandering their own wilderness, wondering if they'll make it out, wondering if God still sees them, wondering if it's all worth it. And when they hear your story, when they feel your spirit, they'll know it's possible. You don't need to shout. Your presence testifies. You don't need to prove yourself. Your fruit speaks. The oil on your life announces what the wilderness birthed. If this resonates with you, if your wilderness season is unfolding into glory, take a moment to like this message. Share it so another soul walking through dry ground knows they're not alone. Subscribe for more words like this that speak directly into your spirit. And if you feel led to sow into this word, do so with reverence. Giving is not about transaction, it's about transformation. When you honor the soil, you position yourself for harvest. Give not to buy a breakthrough, but to bless what has blessed you. Obedience opens doors. Your wilderness was not in vain. It was sacred. And now that the season is shifting, the fruit of that obedience will feed multitudes. The water you drank in drought will now flow through you, and your survival will become someone else's roadmap. Chosen one, wear your wilderness like a crown, because where others saw weakness, heaven was building a warrior. Mercy has a schedule. Chosen one, you must understand, God's mercy is vast, but it is not aimless. It is patient, but not passive. It is enduring, but it is not eternal in every instance. There is a time appointed for mercy to make room for justice, and when that time comes, delay becomes danger. You felt it, haven't you? That internal nudge that the window is narrowing, that the season of second chances is shifting, that what was once tolerated in grace is now weighing heavy in your spirit. That's not guilt, it's divine urgency. A holy pressure pressing you toward obedience while time remains. Scripture speaks clearly. God Himself says in Genesis chapter 6, "My spirit shall not strive with man forever." That verse is not a threat, it is a warning born from love. God will wrestle, but He will not wrestle endlessly. He offers chances. He gives space to repent. He covers. He convicts. He even delays judgment. But there comes a moment when mercy steps back, so that consequence can speak. And that moment comes quicker than we think. This is why you can no longer afford to ignore the promptings, why you can't push aside the whisper in your spirit, why you can't postpone the fast, the prayer, the act of obedience. Heaven is measuring time differently, and the longer you wait, the more you risk missing what was tailor-made for your obedience. Remember the 10 virgins. All were invited. All were waiting. All had lamps. But only 5 brought oil. Only 5 prepared for the long delay. And when the bridegroom finally came, the unprepared heard the most chilling words in Scripture. Jesus said it, in Matthew 25. Truly I tell you, I don't know you. They were invited, but missed their moment. That parable is not just about readiness, it's about timing. It's about those who assume the door will stay open forever. It won't. There are divine windows. Seasons when heaven is leaning close. When doors are unlocked. When favor is flowing. But they don't last indefinitely. Some doors close not because of God's rejection, but because of man's delay. Chosen one. You are standing in a moment pregnant with possibility. The books are open. The Spirit is hovering. But there is a limit to how long this moment will remain accessible. You can't delay alignment anymore. You can't flirt with compromise and expect the oil to flow. You can't keep asking for confirmation when conviction has already spoken. Mercy has been your covering, but now it is calling you forward. This isn't about legalism. It's not about fear-mongering. It's about recognizing the holiness of divine timing. There is a weight to what you are being asked to carry, and heaven will not wait indefinitely for you to say yes. You may say, God is merciful, and you would be right. But mercy is not permission to procrastinate. It is the extension of time to prepare. It is the gift of delay before divine demand. It is the soft hand that gently pulls you toward obedience before the firm hand of consequence closes the window. You've been warned in love. That conversation you can't shake. That dream that keeps repeating. That nudge to release what you're still holding on to. That feeling that something is shifting in the spirit. All of it is mercy in motion. Don't confuse God's silence with his approval. Sometimes heaven stops speaking because it already did, and now it's watching. This is the moment to act. To leave the relationship you know is draining your oil. To delete what keeps you distracted. To say the yes you've been delaying. To step into the unknown and trust that obedience will build the bridge beneath your feet. You won't always feel ready, but obedience doesn't wait for readiness. It responds to revelation. And you have been warned, not in wrath, but in love. God warns because he wants you to make it. He alerts you because you're valuable. He places roadblocks not to punish, but to reroute you. Every no is protection. Every closed door is preservation. Every delay in access is divine wisdom at work. But once the time appointed arrives, the doors close, not from cruelty, but conclusion. The ark was open for a time. Noah warned for decades. But when the rain came, it was too late. The mercy that had made room now made boundaries. You are not being condemned. You are being chased by love. But love has a clock, and the closer we come to the fulfillment of your assignment, the louder the ticking becomes. Not because heaven is impatient, but because earth is groaning. There are people waiting on your obedience. Destinies tied to your movement. Legacy connected to your yes. And if you do not rise, the delay won't just affect you, it will ripple through generations. You must move before the mercy assigned to this season expires. The next time you feel the weight in your spirit, don't run from it. It's not pressure, it's privilege. Heaven is inviting you to step into a moment where obedience meets opportunity, where timing and anointing collide, where grace and action merge into divine momentum. This is your hour. The books are still open. The fire is still burning. The voice is still calling. But time, chosen one, is not eternal in every season. And mercy has a schedule. Your name is in the wind. Chosen one, heaven is speaking about you. In realms unseen, your name is being whispered, declared, and echoed through spiritual corridors. You may feel overlooked on earth, But in the courts of heaven, you are known, marked, tracked, watched with intention. Your obedience has made noise. Your faithfulness in silence has generated sound. And now, the wind is moving with your name in it. You don't need a platform to be known. You need obedience. You don't need to be seen by many, only by one. And he sees. He remembers. He rewards. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for the moment when divine timing would collide with prophetic release. That time is now. You may not see the evidence yet, but the announcement has already gone forth. In the Spirit, messengers have been dispatched. Opportunities are shifting. Tables are being prepared. People you've never met are being prompted to think about you. Doors you didn't knock on are being readied to open. Not because of manipulation, not because of striving, but because of alignment. God is bringing your name into conversations where your feet haven't yet arrived. Remember Mordecai, faithful, uncelebrated, hidden in plain sight. But one night, the king could not sleep. He called for the book of records, and Mordecai's name was found. What honor and recognition has Mordecai received for this? The king asked, and the answer came. Nothing has been done for him, but that one moment shifted everything. The reward delayed was not the reward denied, it was just waiting for the right time. So it will be for you, Jesus said in Matthew 6. See, then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. That reward is not only eternal, it's also prophetic. It arrives on schedule. Your secret obedience has activated a public response from heaven. Your tears in the night have purchased rain in the daylight. And the shift is no longer coming, it has begun. Your name is now on assignment. It is being carried by the breath of God into rooms you've never stepped into the thoughts of people you've never met, into spaces you didn't even know existed. And as heaven moves, so does everything tied to your purpose. This is why the warfare has increased, why confusion came, why resistance multiplied. Because the enemy caught wind of your rising. He heard the sound of your name carried in heaven's breath. He felt the tremble of the realm shifting. That's why he tried to cloud your mind, shake your confidence, silence your worship. But he was too late. The wind has already shifted. The decree has already gone forth. The word has been released. You don't need to make noise, your name already carries it. The heavens have moved in your favor. Isaiah 54:17 declares, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This isn't just protection, it's proof. Proof that you belong to the Lord, that your inheritance is secure, that your name is under divine preservation. So, do not panic when unfamiliar things begin to open up. Do not be confused when strangers suddenly recognize you. You are not walking into a trap. You are stepping into fulfillment. The world is just catching up to what heaven has already settled. Your name is not random. It has been carved into eternity. Isaiah 49:16 reminds us, see, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. You are not lost in the crowd. You are not hidden from his view. You are tattooed on the hands of the Almighty. He knows you by name, and now the wind does too. Chosen one, you are entering a season of divine visibility. Not because you craved it, but because you carried well in the hidden place. This is not exposure for ego, it is revealing for purpose. You are being revealed because it is time for what you carry to be released. Your name is not just being announced, it is being authorized. Your obedience has released favor. Your submission has unlocked promotion. Your purity has made way for power. This is not about being discovered, you are being deployed. So stay grounded. Stay yielded. Stay ready. Because when the wind carries your name, acceleration comes. Invitations will arrive that don't make sense on paper. Alignments will fall into place without your manipulation. What once required striving will now unfold with ease. Not because of your hand, but because of His wind. Let the wind carry it. Let God speak on your behalf. Let heaven do the heavy lifting. Because your name is in the wind now. Comment 888 if your spirit bears witness. It's already happening. The shift is already here. The announcement has already been made. The winds have spoken. Chosen one, prepare. The wind is moving, and it carries your name. You are heaven's interruption. Chosen one, your arrival in this generation is not random. You were sent as a divine disruption, an answer wrapped in human skin. Every time you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. Even if no one acknowledges it, it's not your charisma. It's your calling. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break patterns. You are heaven's interruption. You carry within you the momentum of prayers prayed by those who came before you. You are the manifestation of intercession, the embodiment of a cry that reached God's throne decades ago. You are the yes someone else didn't live long enough to see fulfilled. That's why you felt out of place in environments that worship comfort. That's why compromise has always made your soul itch. You were never meant to follow the script of culture. You were written into God's agenda. This is why your story couldn't follow a clean line. Why your life wasn't allowed to be predictable. Because predictability does not birth power, disruption does. Your process was divine rebellion against every generational curse, every demonic cycle, every agreement made in ignorance. You are the interruption to everything hell hoped would continue. Look at the lives heaven has used. Abraham had to leave everything familiar. Moses was called back to confront what once terrified him. David was pulled from a field nobody valued. Mary's life was interrupted by an angel and a promise. Saul was thrown from a horse and renamed Paul. Again and again, God sends interruptions when the world needs reformation. And now, He's sending you. This is why comfort won't hold you. Why safe plans collapse in your hands. Why the normal path keeps falling apart. Because your life is not a repeat, it's a reset. You're not continuing the old story. You are the start of a new one. You've been sent to draw a line in the spirit and declare, this far and no further. And that declaration is not just poetic, it's spiritual warfare. When you choose purity, it breaks patterns. When you forgive, it shatters generational bitterness. When you speak truth, it exposes systems of fear. When you choose prayer over performance, intercession over ambition, obedience over applause, you interrupt hell's agenda with every step. You've wondered why you feel the tension, why you carry weight others don't recognize. It's because you've been drafted for disruption, chosen to confront things others tolerate, sent to see differently, speak differently, live differently. That's not pride. That's placement. The Holy Spirit didn't come to make you popular. He came to make you powerful. He came to set you ablaze in a world growing cold, to fill your mouth with words that cut through confusion, to teach your hands to war, not entertain, to equip you with discernment so you can spot deception where others see convenience. This is why silence is no longer an option for you. Why your voice carries a frequency that doesn't just inspire, it convicts. You weren't born to please crowds. You were sent to awaken sleepers. That's why the enemy targeted you so early. Tried to crush your identity before it could even bloom. Tried to wound your trust, sabotage your relationships, and distort your reflection. Because if you ever figured out who you really were, his kingdom would suffer loss. But it's too late now. The veil has been torn. The illusion is broken. And your soul knows this isn't about being liked. This is about being light. You are heaven's interruption, not a glitch, not a mistake, not an afterthought. You are the divine rebuttal to decades of destruction. You are the alternative to apathy, the contradiction to compromise, the voice crying in the wilderness. Prepare the way of the Lord. You didn't just survive, you were sent. Sent with oil, sent with strategy, sent with scars that now shine with glory. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your fire. Your very existence is an answer. Chosen one, walk boldly in your difference. Don't apologize for your assignment. Don't shrink to ease their discomfort. You were sent to stir, sent to shake, sent to shift the trajectory of everything around you. You are heaven's interruption. Glory will follow obedience. Chosen one. The breakthrough you seek does not come before the step. It follows it. The glory you've been sensing, the presence you've been aching for, the move of God you've been praying to witness it, waits on the other side of your yes. Glory does not precede obedience, it responds to it. Too many wait for the heavens to split before they move. But heaven often waits for the movement of the earth. The cloud doesn't fall on the passive, it follows the obedient. This is why so many feel stuck, because they are still sitting in places where they should have already stepped out. They are waiting for peace to come before they obey, not realizing that peace is often the reward for walking in obedience, not the prerequisite. Think of Abraham. He didn't know where he was going, but he obeyed. He left without a map, but his feet moved. And as he moved, God began to unfold the plan. Genesis says, "So Abraham went, as the Lord had told him, not with a 10-point blueprint, not with a safety net, just with a word. And his obedience birthed a covenant that still echoes across generations. That same principle follows you now. Your next season will not open because you figured everything out. It will open because you stepped forward when everything in you wanted to stay still. Obedience unlocks realms that logic will never reach. Glory doesn't visit disobedience. It waits at the edge of risk, where faith becomes sight and surrender becomes strength. You've been wondering when God will move, but God is asking when you will. The fullness of your next level is tied to the simplicity of your obedience now. You already know what He told you. That one thing you keep delaying. That conversation you keep avoiding. That sacrifice you keep wrestling with. And every time you delay, the glory stays paused, waiting not out of punishment, but out of design, because obedience is the gate through which glory walks. The miracle is not delayed, it's waiting. Sometimes the Red Sea doesn't part until your foot steps in. Sometimes the manna doesn't fall until you leave Egypt. Sometimes the water doesn't come until you strike the rock. Sometimes the walls don't fall until you walk around them for the 7th time. Over and over. Scripture shows us that God's response is tied to man's obedience, and that has never changed. Glory is not a concept, it's a presence. It's the weight of God resting on what is yielded. It comes where it is welcomed. It hovers over the humble. It settles on the surrendered. And if you feel the absence of it, Don't assume its reaction. Ask yourself, have I obeyed the last instruction? You don't need to chase glory. You need to obey your assignment. The chosen are not just gifted, they are obedient. The glory that follows them is not random. It's the result of decisions made in the quiet, sacrifices made in the dark, disciplines maintained when no one is watching. It is not earned, but it is invited by obedience. Jesus made this principle visible before he raised Lazarus. He told them, "Take away the stone." Before he multiplied the loaves, he told them, "Bring them here to me." Before he turned water into wine, he told the servants, "Fill the jars with water." The pattern is consistent. Instruction first, glory second, and it has not changed in your life. Glory will follow the risk. It will follow the act of faith that doesn't make sense on paper. It will follow the obedience that costs something. That makes you uncomfortable. That forces you to depend fully on God because there's no backup plan. Your comfort zone is not the place where glory lives. God is not looking for perfection. He's looking for yieldedness. A heart that says, "Yes, Lord," even through fear. A mouth that declares his goodness before the breakthrough comes. Hands that move, even when the path isn't clear. You don't need to be sure. You need to be surrendered. Obedience is not always glamorous. It's not always seen. Sometimes it looks like staying when you want to run. Sometimes it looks like silence when you want to speak. Sometimes it looks like building with no audience, preparing when no one believes, or sowing where nothing is growing yet. But the glory will come. It may not look like what you expected. It may not show up when you predicted, but it will follow. It must. Because God does not ignore obedience. He rewards it. He rushes to meet the soul that dares to follow him into the unknown. Chosen one. Don't chase the outcome. Chase the instruction. Glory will follow obedience. Always. You are not allowed to die here. Chosen one. Hear this. With all the gravity of heaven behind it, you are not allowed to die here. Not in this valley. Not in this confusion. Not in this disappointment. This place you're standing in right now, the one that feels like the end, it is not your grave. It is your gateway, and you must rise. This is not where your story ends. This is not the chapter where defeat gets the final word. You have come too far, endured too much, been anointed for too long to lay down now. Heaven has invested too much oil in you for you to quit at the threshold of manifestation. The pressure you feel is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of delivery. This is labor pain, not a death rattle. Your spirit is crowning with purpose. The contraction is your confirmation. You are being pushed into the next season, not buried by it. The same God who preserved you in past fires is the one who is standing in this furnace with you now. Don't let the heat fool you. This is not destruction. It is divine refinement. Remember Lazarus, dead for 4 days, wrapped in grave clothes, mourned by the crowd, forgotten in the tomb. But then Jesus showed up and shouted, "Lazarus, come forth." And what was lifeless responded to life himself. That same voice is calling you now. That same power is reaching into your pit, not to console you in the grave, but to call you out of it. Don't adjust to the darkness. Don't make peace with delay. Don't normalize despair. You are not allowed to die here. This moment of heaviness is not the end. It's an intersection. You are at a crossroads between quitting and becoming. And the only thing standing between you and breakthrough is one more step of obedience, one more act of faith, one more refusal to give in to the lie that it's over. It is not over. You still have breath. You still have oil. You still have time. That means heaven is still moving. You've survived things that should have taken you out. You've endured storms that buried others. You've walked through fire and came out with worship. You've wept but still believed. You've questioned but still stayed. You are not weak. You are a warrior. And warriors don't die in valleys, they rise. You don't need a new word. You need to remember the last one. What did God say? What did He promise? What did He reveal when you were in His presence? That word is still alive. That word still holds. And the fact that you're reading this now is proof that heaven is still backing it up. If you're hearing this today, you're not forgotten. You're not abandoned. You're being called back into alignment. Called out of mourning. Called out of hopelessness. The tomb was never meant to be permanent. It was just a pause. Sans rise. Not just emotionally. Not just mentally. Rise, spiritually. Reclaim your seat. Remind your soul who you are. Stir up the gift within you. Command every dead thing to respond to the breath of God. Say aloud what the grave fears. I will live and not die. Psalm 118. The 17th of December layers it boldly. I shall not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord. That's not poetry, that's prophecy. That verse belongs to you, not just as a verse, but as a verdict. Heaven has ruled your life is not over. Your assignment is not finished. Your best days are not behind you. They are rising like the morning sun. You are not allowed to die here, because too many destinies are tied to your movement. Too many breakthroughs are riding on your obedience. Too many people are waiting for the light you carry. Your survival is not selfish, it's strategic. When you get up, chains fall off others. So don't you dare give up. Don't you dare silence your praise. Don't you dare pack your bags for a grave God never authorized. This is not the end, it's the beginning of the rise. And as you obey, the wind will return. The strength will rebuild. The vision will clear, and the weight of glory will descend. If this word is reviving something deep in your spirit, take a moment to like this message. Share it with someone who might be in their own valley. Subscribe to stay connected to this prophetic flow. Every time you do, it keeps the oil flowing further. And if this word has broken something open in you, if it's confirmed what heaven already whispered, feel free to sow into the ground of this moment. Your giving isn't a transaction, it's an act of honor and alignment. It's a way of saying, I recognize the weight of this word, and I step into agreement with what God is doing. When you respond in faith, even in your seed, you're saying to heaven, I believe you, I trust you, I rise with this, because you are not allowed to die here. This is not your grave. It's your resurrection point. The crown comes with blood. Chosen one, you've longed for authority, for clarity, for a sense of divine purpose, so tangible that it grounds your every step. But what you must understand deeply, permanently is this. The crown is not made of gold alone. It is forged in blood. There is no real authority without sacrifice. No true dominion without cost. The spiritual weight you feel isn't imagined. It's real. It comes with choosing obedience when comfort would have been easier. It comes with keeping your hands clean when retaliation felt justified. It comes with speaking truth in spaces where silence is safer. And it leaves a mark unseen by most, but deeply known by heaven. Covenants in the kingdom are always sealed in blood. This is why you feel the warfare increase every time you step toward your calling. This is why peace becomes harder to hold the moment you say yes with your full heart. Because you're not wearing a paper crown. You've been anointed for a throne that comes with thorns. You've been chosen to walk the narrow road, not the popular one. Look at Jesus. He was crowned King of Kings, but not before he was pierced, not before he was rejected, mocked, betrayed, and left alone. His crown was introduced through suffering, and though your assignment is different, the pattern remains. The price of real spiritual weight is not applause, it's surrender. Don't despise the pain. It's confirmation. Heaven does not release crowns lightly. God tests what he intends to trust. And the process you're in now, the bleeding of your expectations, the death of your former identity, the shedding of your pride, it is the forge, the fire, the preparation for rulership. This is why people don't understand you anymore. Why your language has changed. Why your tolerance for trivial things has vanished. You're not becoming cold. You're being crowned. You're learning that ruling with God requires dying to self. That carrying glory requires letting go of entitlement. That spiritual maturity comes by crucifixion, not convenience. You are not weak because it hurts. You are not broken because it's heavy. Even Jesus, in the garden, said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." And yet he said, "Not my will, but yours be done." That moment was his crowning. Your crown is not coming through ease. It's coming through obedience. Every time you yield instead of resist. Every time you forgive instead of retaliate. Every time you serve instead of seek recognition. You're building something eternal, something unshakable, something worthy of divine authority. Heaven does not promote based on gifting, it promotes based on trust. God is watching how you handle being unseen, how you steward pain, how you respond when the applause stops. And when you prove faithful in blood, the crown will settle on your life, not as a showpiece, but as a sign that you've been through the crushing and still chose God, that you bled in silence and still worshipped, that you were passed over and still remained loyal. The oil is not cheap, and neither is the crown. This is why you walk differently now, why you can't engage the way you used to, why everything you do feels weightier. Because you're not just existing, you're reigning. Even if no one calls you royal, even if no one recognizes the process, heaven does. Chosen one. Your crown is real, and the blood you've shed through heartbreak, surrender, and spiritual warfare is not forgotten. It is counted, collected, remembered, and from it flows an authority that no man gave, and no devil can take. So when you feel the fire, don't shrink. When the pressing intensifies, don't doubt. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The crown is coming, but not without blood. Assignment activated. Move. Chosen one. The time for waiting is over. The season of wondering, hesitating, circling, doubting it ends here. The pages have turned. The scroll has been unsealed. The books are open, and your name is glowing on the record. What was hidden is now declared. What was dormant is now awake. Your assignment is being activated. There is no more delay. Not because God grew impatient, but because the timing has ripened. The fruit has swelled on the branch. The pressing of your past season has completed its work, and now movement is required. No more rehearsing. No more revisiting what God already said. No more waiting for perfect peace before you walk. This is the moment your spirit has been trained for. The signs are not subtle anymore. The tug is stronger. The dreams are louder. The confirmations are everywhere. Heaven has cleared the path, not always by removing obstacles, but by awakening your feet. You've been anointed to move through what would paralyze others. You've been given grace to walk on what others drown in. This isn't just an emotional stirring. It's spiritual combustion. The instruction isn't vague anymore. You know what he said. You know the step he's asking for. You know the door that's opening. Now, obedience must meet the opportunity. Heaven has extended the invitation. The angels are in position. The oil is warm. Now move. You've seen the pattern. Noah had to build. Abraham had to leave. Moses had to confront. Joshua had to march. David had to step forward. Esther had to speak. Peter had to step out of the boat. The woman with the issue of blood had to press through the crowd. Over and over again, Scripture shows us this truth. Miracles respond to movement. Your assignment will not complete itself. This next season of your life is not on autopilot. It requires your voice, your presence, your participation. And the longer you wait, the more ground the enemy claims by default. Neutrality is not a kingdom option. Inaction is not harmless. It is partnership with delay. Chosen one. The moment you move, heaven moves with you. Doors will not open until your hand reaches. Provisions will not fall until your foot steps. Destiny will not unlock until you declare, I am here. I will not sit this one out. The books are open. You are not reading someone else's prophecy. You are standing in the middle of your own fulfillment. And everything you've walked through, every betrayal, every battle, every breakdown was shaping you for this precise moment of decision. Hell is betting that you'll delay again, that you'll second guess, that you'll shrink, that you'll get so consumed with overthinking that you'll miss the opening altogether. But what the enemy doesn't know is this time, you're different. This time, the pressing has birthed clarity. This time, the oil is ready. And you've had enough of the cycle. You're not going back. You're not getting stuck. You're not waiting for one more sign. You are the sign. Move with urgency. Move with reverence. Move with boldness that says, God, I may not know every detail, but I know your voice. And that's enough. Psalm 119. 105 reminds us, your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path, not a spotlight, not a roadmap, just a lamp enough light for the next step. And that step is all you need right now. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to say yes and move. The books are open. The heavens are watching. And your name, your real, heaven-ordained name is being declared in places that matter. It's your turn to answer. Not later. Not soon. Not after you feel ready. Now, move. Chosen one. Let this settle in your spirit. You were never forgotten, never overlooked, never misplaced. You are exactly where you need to be for the next divine move to begin. Everything you've endured, every storm you've withstood, every hidden place you've remained faithful in, it's all been preparation. And now, heaven is saying, move. But this movement isn't just physical, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's mental. It's the decision to align completely with what God already spoke. You are not stepping into the unknown, you are stepping into fulfillment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Faith never asks for perfect circumstances, just a yielded heart. And you, chosen one, have been chosen for such a time as this. This moment isn't random. It's divine. It's the intersection of obedience and destiny. So let this message become fuel. Let it stir your boldness. Let it burn up every excuse and awaken every dormant gift. What begins today doesn't end here. It unfolds. If this word has spoken deeply to you, like it. If you know someone else who needs to be reminded of their calling, share this. If you haven't already, subscribe to stay connected to prophetic messages that stir your spirit and sharpen your steps. And if this message has served as confirmation, and you feel led to sow into this space, into the atmosphere that nurtures your assignment, follow that prompting. Giving isn't about transaction, it's about agreement. When you honor the voice of God, you place yourself in the flow of His favor. Comment below. I receive my assignment. Let heaven see your agreement. You are not just inspired. You are ignited. You are not just encouraged. You are activated. The books are open, and your name is written in bold.